the maximum by the end of her second.
Right, so it could be that situation where the person was promoted in that.
Right, but I mean, let's say Andrea comes up, she has so much experience and she's so valuable, we need to, under the rationale that this board is used, we need to reappoint her for another 4 years. And so that's my point about a 12-year term.
But that's 9 years, that's not 12. So,
No, it's 12 years. If she
Not
just serves
necessarily
2 terms, she's served 8 years, then she has all this experience, shouldn't she,
But she can serve another term.
Right.
So under the resolution.
no, she could serve another year. I mean, she could serve at the pleasure of the president, you know.
And on the board.
And on the
We
board.
make
But
exceptions,
that's,
we can make exceptions.
you're making a leap there that I guess I just have to call to question because it's, you know, we can't be throwing around things that aren't accurate.
So Ann, Tristan, okay, is it, so they can't extend to a 3rd term, it's just to that 9-year mark? You can only extend it another year? Is that correct?
Whichever is longer.
So right now, as long as it's-
So if you reach your second in 8 years, you can't get appointed for a third to get to 12,
Yeah.
unless there's support.
So you-
Consecutive terms or 9
But you
years.
could go to the 9 years, right? You could go for 1 more year, because that's what we just did for planning commission.
Right, right.
I'm asking the attorney.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to bring
Not a
this
full term.
to a conclusion here, because we've been here a long time right now.
You know, and I appreciate, I didn't, Larry, I didn't ask my second question, but you answered it for me. Which is, what's your opinion? And after hearing that opinion, and then thinking about it, and Ann's comments as well, I guess I'll withdraw the direction that I gave. I think that was.
We're going to talk about a long list in just a few minutes, and so I think if that's the consensus of the board, again, I wish there were a best practice, an engineering, management, planning solution, but I could bring you and say this is the way you do this. There is not. This item is strictly subjective and it's strictly up to the governing board. They can set term limits or not have term limits as the board determines is appropriate for their organization. And there's no objective or administrative or managerial solution to the question, so.
Okay? So we've discussed it and we haven't given direction.
Well, I think the board has voted that the majority of the board is satisfied with the term limits as they are. As I understand them though, and let me clarify, 9 years is 9 years. So if you finish 2 4-year terms, you can't be appointed for another 4-year term. You could be held over to finish up that last year. There was some reason that the board, the village president of the board, that you cannot be appointed to do another term. If you're on one of the 5-year terms, police, fire commission, etc., you only get 2 terms and you're done.
Thank you for that.
There's been a couple of occasions where, due to specific circumstances, where there was a long-term project going on, there was, we were going to lose some institutional knowledge, the board actually passed a
Makes sense.
board action to override the ordinance and made a finding that there was a reason, so I just want to throw a caveat. But there's been a couple of instances.
So it can be done, once again, it's got to be done by the board to override your policy.
Right. So that extra year is just a year.
Okay, I stand corrected. I was not aware that that had happened, and the one we did a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think we just extended for 1 year because the person had another year left to reach the max, and there were some things they've been working on. And there's, you know, this experience and the camaraderie, the institutional memory, all those things are relevant concepts, and so whenever you have turnover, you lose some of that.
And if there were a special request for a reappointment that exceeded the term limit, that would come to the board. It wouldn't be under consent agenda. It would be addressed by the board.
Last time we did, I believe it was by resolution.
Oh, it was, oh, yeah. It was a resolution.
Yeah, I think you would
There
have
go.
to.
So it takes action. I'm just saying, it doesn't happen under consent agenda.
Okay, you should do it by resolution, since you set them by resolution. And again, in most cases, something like this would have been done in your municipal code. You would have amended that to incorporate the term limits in there. But,
Okay?
good.
Should we do that? Would you recommend doing that anyways?
Nate and I have been talking about the code. It's old, it hasn't been updated. It would be a Herculean and very expensive tasked to take all that on right now and try to go through and update it. What we kind of talked about was watching the statutes and as contemporary policy needs change to make sure that we start updating the municipal code on a regular basis. To try to go back and rewrite huge portions of it would be very costly. So that's kind of where we're at this point. The basic provisions that are in there pertaining to these boards and commissions are still relevant. So I don't know that there's a lot of value going back and updating all of those at this point.
Okay. Time to move on. Next item is reports of village officials. I've got a couple. First of all, we have the 4th of July parade coming up and the 4th of July coming up soon. And there was discussion for who the parade marshal is going to be, and we were looking at both Jan Zarin and Karen De Hartog, and Jan won't be in town then, so we're going to have Karen De Hartog. She's
Historical Society.
Okay, thought I recognized the name.
Long time volunteering.
a long time teacher. Teacher and head of the Historical Society.
Right.
Oh, that's.
So I just wanted to bring you up to date on that. And then also I want to give you an update on the village manager recruitment. Spoke to both Tyler and I spoke with Lee Szymborski today. He's got 45 resumes right now, plus a few more still trickling in. And he's going to be taking a close look at 15 or 16 of those.
What was the, did the deadline pass, or is it?
I don't remember the deadline, but it's right around now.
April or May 30th was the last day it was posted,
Okay.
but with a recruiter, typically it's common that they'll
Sure.
still work with some people that are still thinking and
Yeah, he's got a few in the
some
fence.
finalizing some questions before making that decision.
Okay.
So.
So the next step would be the recruiter taking a close look at 15 or 16 of those within the next week or so. Actually, next couple of weeks. He expects to have that complete by June 20th. And then his plan is to give us a portfolio of 8 to 12 candidates by Friday, June 30th. And the intention then would be that we would be reviewing the portfolio on our July 10th village board meeting. You may recall that July we're just having one meeting. And the thought though is that we would need to have an early start that day. Probably like 4:30.
Can you send that out in email?
Oh, yeah.
Updated schedule.
Can we get food? Do it.
Food sounds good. However, let me just
I mean,
see. Yeah, but we're not interviewing yet, definitely. I just don't want, pizzas out there when we're interviewing.
no, I know, yeah, because that's a long night, especially
Yeah,
if our
right.
meetings last.
Right. And the intention then would be for the board to try to narrow the portfolio of 8 to 12 down to 3 to 5 on that July 10th date. And then we're looking at first round of interviews the week of July 24th. Yes.
When they narrow it down for us from the applications to 16, or I can't remember how many you said, and if there's not a diversity of candidates, I know I privately told them that, but I just wanted to make the board know and ask for clarification. If there isn't diversity of candidates, do we have the opportunity to request some other applications be forwarded that they have received?
Well, we can do whatever we want.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I will say that we talked about that issue, and I think he's got, of the 15 or 16, there's 4 women and 1 African American on it.
So he's narrowed,
Pardon?
he's narrowed it down to 16.
Well, these are the ones he's looking at right now. He's
Okay.
still working on the narrowing, but that's what he's seeing right now.
Okay.
So, that's my report there. I'll give this to you in writing and then we can distribute it.
Yeah, I was making a couple of notes, and we should probably go ahead and post those meetings, Tanya, and then
Right now, we don't really have a meeting set for the first round of interviews, and we should probably kind of check our calendars on the week of July 24th.
Will we be doing second interviews?
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be a second round of interviews, and I'm not sure that you'll be around for that. I think you will be around on July 24th,
Yeah, unless sometimes boards, if I may, sometimes boards decide to do a first round and a second round interview back-to-back days. So
yeah.
if you was,
Yeah,
if
and
you
there
was,
might be somebody that crops up to the top on the first round too.
so if you as a board wanted to go that direction to do a first round and second round back-to-back days, that would, because I know once you get into August, I know there's actually one or two of you that would be gone. So the schedule's gonna get a little tricky.
And then would it be our August meeting where we would deliberate on a candidate? I mean,
Probably be a special meeting. Yeah.
Are we looking at calendars to figure out days for that end of July? Doing,
yeah, I would prefer back to back.
I would
Interviews that week.
go on the 26th through the 30th.
oh, July.
25th is the planning commission. That's a good.
What's the plan commission?
25th.
25th?
If it goes.
Yeah.
if you have 5 candidates, you're probably gonna need 2 days. You don't wanna try to cram those all in one day, they all crowd together. So,
I don't know.
I think we have that many. What?
Like, it should be, is that what you're asking?
If it's early enough, it's in
Sure.
the next week or something.
Okay,
So 24th and 25th?
shoot for that. That's Monday, Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday.
Can somebody let Erica know? That-
I'll talk with her.
Oh, okay, then.
Okay. Anybody else have reports?
I wanted to give an update on the Community Relations Council, and I'll keep it brief. I held 2 community listening sessions and reported back to the committee. The second session was with community partner stakeholders, so department heads and leaders from various agencies, health department, fire, schools, village, library, other services. And their suggestion, which I thought was great, was to create a work group of both these staff leaders and community members to do a needs assessment of kind of where we are with our practices around diversity, tolerance, and inclusion and welcoming from different entity perspectives, and then bring that in from the community perspective, and then bring that back to a committee to generate some language around creating a mission for a human relations committee. So in essence, we'd be setting aside the current ordinance, and rather than trying to rewrite that, looking at doing a needs assessment of assets and needs in our community, we would identify what the current need around community relations is and what the appropriate language would be around that. And since that does not relate directly to the ordinance that was on the JP&L, Trustee Amenta just agreed to take over that work group creation with Tyler as strategic initiatives to get that work done, hopefully over the next couple of months with vacations and that, so it doesn't drag on and on and on.
I have one question on that. So if, for the ordinance, if we're not rewriting the ordinance, for committee structure, maybe this goes to Samantha when she does her things, but if I'm not able to attend, for committee structure, usually it's defined in the ordinance of your membership, and I'm just wondering if we can establish right off the bat before we appoint a member, before we appoint a committee, but some like 2 members need to be of minority descent, or, you know, or 2 members need to be renters. So some establishing some guidelines for committee structure, so that then that would set, you know, that would set off. That's
Yeah,
kind of the
membership
first-
will be part of the,
And that would be in the ordinance, right? Okay, so even though we're starting there, it might make sense to define that committee structure before we appoint it.
oh,
Do you see
no,
what-
but we're not. I would say for this purpose, to make that suggestion,
After, so we're not forming the committee, is what?
no, we're not forming the committee, it's a work group to give us information about what the charter of the committee would be and membership and term.
Okay,
It's like a plan.
I get it. I'm, okay. It makes sense to me to form the committee and then to